After centuries of darkness, the flame has returned. Rostam the Restorer has shattered the Iranian intermezzo and raised high the banner of Zoroastrian Persia. But time is no ally. The old lion feels the weight of years and legacy. His heir is said to inherit not just a crown, but a realm on the brink, torn by factions, trembling with unrest. Rostam's heir not only has to deal with internal strife, but also seeks to restore the borders of ancient Persia. And that's still just the beginning. He also plans to expand into Arabia and Byzantium in order for Persia to get some revenge for Darius. Hello everybody and welcome back to our Restoring a Zoroastrian Persia run, where we have actually been successful. We have ended the Iranian intermezzo, we have formed the Persian Empire, it's currently known as the Bavandid Empire, and we are officially, publicly following the Mazdayasna Zoroastrian faith. However, while Persia has been restored in name, it has yet to actually reclaim its previous borders. So that is going to be first on our agenda today, expanding out our realm even further to at least be the correct size as per its historical borders. But that's not all. Then we're going to expand over toward the east here, making our way through the north of the Arabian Empire and through the Byzantine Empire, because if we can control Thessalonica as well as Hellas, we will get the achievement Darius's Revenge. So that, I think, is going to be the new end goal for this series. I know a lot of people had other suggestions, like trying to get involved in the Iberian struggle as well, but to be honest, I'm still currently finishing a world conquest run, so I don't want this to expand out into taking over half the map either. Originally, I just wanted to end the Iranian intermezzo, but the comments in the previous video suggested that I keep going, so that is going to be the new goal. Expand out to the old borders, and then take the kingdoms of Thessalonica and Hellas. Before we do that though, we need to actually secure up the realm. The first vassal that I click on randomly here absolutely despises us. Obviously, there's lots of different reasons for this. I was not as on top of vassal management as I was expanding out, because we were racing against time to make sure that we could end the Iranian intermezzo before it ended through concession. Now that the Iranian intermezzo is over, however, we have a lot more time on our hands. So the first thing I would like to do is try and get the realm into a bit more of a stable position, convert everybody over to this new Zoroastrian faith, and from there we should then be good to start the expansion. We do of course have the bonus of rekindling the Persian spirit, so that is giving us advantage in the areas of same cultural heritage, as well as development growth in the ancient Persia region, and glory hand and parochial vassal opinion. So that should help a lot as we start to expand these borders out, once we can actually get this realm back under control. The first notification that I have here is actually that my daughter is set to marry Muhammad the Clueless Dullafid here. This is likely from when I was betrothing off all of my children when I was in desperate need of alliances, as well as to my vassals. But since then, we've actually dealt with the Dullafids in that massive war against almost all of our allies. So I am actually going to break this betrothal. It does not make sense right now. Having a look at our actual factions then, we obviously have some vassals who full on want independence. That is to be expected. We have some to do with, I believe this is going to be culture. Yes, it is. They are relatively unhappy. We then have more rulers over here that are both a different culture as well as religion, so they are going to be considerably unhappy, even more than want independence from their liege. And the most dangerous one right now is actually just the Persian Ashari populists. Now, this is to be expected. Now that I've come out as Zoroastrian, many of the counties inside of Persia were not secretly following Zoroastrian rulers. They just full on were Ashari. So we're going to have to deal with them and probably put those down. And then overall as well, because many of our vassals are just overall unhappy with us, they do want lower crown authority. On top of that, we have the ability to vassalize Senij over here. He is already Mazdayan, so that is perfect. No exemption needed. Welcome in. And then there are lots of duchies for us to still create as well, which we will probably want to do over time here. Having a look at the actual religion map inside of the land that we currently hold, thankfully, because of the ending that we took and the fact that we came out as being a follower of the Zoroastrian faith before finishing the intermezzo, a lot of our land has already converted, which is fantastic to see. But obviously, there are still quite a few bits that are the wrong religion. The main issue is the lands down here that are still full-on ruled by a Shari Muslim faith. That is going to be something that we're going to have to deal with. We want to definitely make sure that at least all of our Amarit tier vassals are actually Zoroastrian. We do also have the ability for another dynasty legacy. Now, I was going down Brilliance here to see what this was about, as it seemed very specific to this region. The next one is not fantastic, though. It is all really to do with schemes, which is not amazing, but Light of Glory after it with the increased in Courtly and Gloryhound vassal levy contribution is quite nice. So I will take this for now as we work our way down. Oh, never mind, we can actually take both. I forgot just how much renown finishing the Iranian Intermezzo and Restoring Persia actually gave us. So we can take Light of Renown as well, and we can keep going. We can take Ancient Authority. This will give us a new tax degree, and will also give us the ability to recruit Asawira men-at-arms. They look incredible. We'll absolutely grab this as well, and we can keep going with Splendor Reborn, giving us the ability to embellish the capital. So just through Restoring Persia, we have been able to fully finish the Brilliance tree here inside of our dynasty legacies. Another reason for us restoring out our original borders is it'll give us the ability to become the Shahanshah here. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but by driving out the Muslims and restoring Zoroastrian rule over the entirety of the Persian Empire, a pious ruler may be recognized to be Zoroastria's prophesized Shahanshah, the chosen savior of the world. This gives us +1 diplomacy, +2 learning, +2 prowess, and +10 opinion with all other Zoroastrians, and our descendants will also gain the trait from just being descendant from us. Our dynasty will also get +15% monthly piety, prestige, and same faith opinion for 25 years. And it also gives a 35% chance of all infidel counties to change their faith. So this would be absolutely incredible. The other decision that we've just unlocked is the ability here to kindle the royal fire. It was custom among the Persian kings of old to assume a new name at their coronation and kindle a royal fire which would burn as long as their reigns would last. I, too, could have such a fire to have its holy lights bless me and my rule. A royal fire will be kept burning throughout your reign, granting renown and improved health. The Magi will extinguish it after your death. Let's absolutely ignite the flame here. We can do an elaborate ceremony befitting the glory of Persian kings. We will gain royal fire for a tiny health boost and some renown. Courtiers and vassals of hostile faiths might not like this, but others might be very impressed. This will also give us 75 renown for our dynasty. I'm also going to have the head of the Magi here start to convert faith, particularly in the capital here. It's a bit crazy that the capital holding that we currently hold isn't even of the right faith. Out of curiosity as well, our actual capital should be over here in Isfahan. This does have the Friday Mosque, which has some very nice bonuses. We may want to pick this up eventually, but it is currently held by a Mazdian Dalamite, so that's not really a big issue for us. We would much rather try and get some land back over, where is it, down here, for example, where it's still a Muslim ruler. What I'm going to do now is work my way down through each of my vassals. I'm going to demand everybody's conversion to see if they accept or not. And then where possible, I will also give them certain directives to convert faith inside of their lands if they are Zoroastrian, for example. What is nice about not having created that many duchies at this point, though, is what I can do is work my way down through each of the individual counts, and then even if only 1 or 2 actually agree to convert, I can just give whoever did convert the actual holding above that. So for example, over in this region here, so this is the Duchy of Khoistan. For example, I believe these might already all be... No, they're not. Okay, so this one here is Ashari. This man here is Zoroastrian. So, for example, if I was to create this duchy, I would give it to him and then give him the directive to convert. So we can try and actually have some of our vassals do this heavy lifting for us as well. Some may be too far gone, but I do believe that we have an increased chance at people actually agreeing to convert to our faith, also as a bonus from ending the Iranian Intermezzo the way that we did. Okay, so with that done, we should have some people who are going to be coming to us, and they are going to be either accepting or offering to convert over in exchange for a hook. I think in this case, for you, you're just a count. You hate us and we have an imprisonment reason. We'll probably try and deal with you separately, so I'm not going to bargain for your soul. Let me pin you, though. With some who are a bit more powerful, I will accept some hooks here and there for the sake of the realm. Others just are willing to accept to begin with. And then others, obviously, as well, are outright refusing, but that is just more imprisonment reasons for us. In truth, all we're really doing is trying to sort out whatever we can peacefully, but the high likelihood is that we will end up having to revoke a title from somebody who is the wrong religion once again, which will likely trigger a massive war, but that might be needed just to really organize the last remaining elements of the realm, because I cannot really afford to risk a war with the Arabian Empire, even if I might feel like I'm in the prime position in terms of troop count and whatnot, if it's just going to result in tons of revolts back home. So I need this to be a bit more stable before I can really start expanding outward. It's also important to note that I was very lucky that I was able to survive as long as I was with Rostam here, but he is still 68 years old and in poor health. So chances are it is going to be his son that we continue to expand out the realm with. The issue with that, though, is that when he comes to power, he is not going to have all of the bonuses that Rostam does have for actually restoring the Persian Empire. Could prove a little bit more difficult for him, so for as long as we are Rostam, we want to make sure that we get things as stable as possible. The embellished capital decision that we have as well is also quite interesting. In order for us to do this, we need 185 gold and have a recently conquered county that we can plunder. The big question here, though, is do we want to keep our capital over here in Farim or not? It is not the most amazing county in the world. It does have Mount Damavand, which is interesting, but that mainly focuses on increasing our levy size and station men-at-arms toughness, which is not bad at all, but I would prefer something giving us a bit more tax. We also will probably want to start spending some of our gold into actually upgrading our holdings here. There is still not a huge amount going on inside of them. Almost all of our focus has been on expansion thus far and not really building up. I expanded much quicker than I normally would in a normal run. Thankfully, though, our actual house unity is up at Harmonious, so succession should be quite smooth, and house vassals are significantly less likely to create factions. So I think what I may do when these factions actually trigger is try and give out some of this land to my actual family members. That way, when I actually take some of these house decisions, such as encouraging house to improve the economy, it should have a stronger impact the more Bavandid members actually hold land and can actually improve the economy. And just like that, we are dead. But Rostam achieved everything he set out to do, ending the Iranian intermezzo and restoring Persia. It is now up to his son, Quarin, in order to actually finish the overall mission here. First things first, we are immediately involved in a murder scheme against our rival here. It already has 2 breaches. It's at 43%. Realistically, we probably could pull this off, to be honest. Are we vengeful? Is that why we're trying to kill her? No, we're humble, diligent, and callous. Fortune Builder is very nice, though. I actually very, very much like the fact that we are focused on stewardship here, because we really want to increase our tax. We have also just lost a little bit of our land here. I believe it was maybe the land over in Ray here. Yes, it is. Our half-brother has actually inherited this as well as part of the succession. But the important thing is that we at least still hold the empire. I am going to continue down the stewardship focus with you. Let's just completely focus on monthly income here. We'll work our way down to architects as we're already on that path. The issue here is that when I sort by power of vassals, we have our brother-in-law, Prince Ahmad here, of the Sugrid Khanate. He does not like us at all. He significantly hates us. That is expected, though, given that he's a different religion. What is more worrying is Satrap Dogan here, who is the right religion and still hates us. This is largely because we do not have a alliance with him, and also opinion of predecessor at -47. I think we can convert him over eventually, however. I might put him on the council for now, just for political reasons, even though he's not fantastic at stewardship. Now then, undoubtedly, we're going to have some factions starting to fire very, very soon here. So I'm going to give it some time, build up my gold, make sure my army is as strong as it possibly can be. And once we can deal with this initial sort of faction uprising, there could be a few of them, then we should be in a much more stable position. Thankfully, I can negotiate an alliance with my half-brother here, who now controls Ray. Will also accept alliances with any of my family members who hold land and are the right religion, obviously. But for example, the one that I will not be doing is the alliance down here with Ahmad, as this is a big issue for us. It's made worse by the fact that seemingly he's picked up some land over here as well. Now, he is defending in a war of tyranny, but he is winning. But he is really our biggest issue at the moment. Let me try and actually demand his conversion again. I'm sure he will not accept, but if I get an imprisonment reason, that could be useful. Oh, and he actually would be willing to convert. He does want 100 gold, however. It's not fantastic. The culture he has is fine, however. If we accept, that would probably be good in the short term, but part of me wants to keep him the wrong religion so that at least we can actually sort this out, because currently he is just too big. We will not pay for your eternal salvation. That does give us the imprisonment reason, so when we are ready, we can move against him. But let's see what these factions are going to do first. Already as well, there are multiple members in a faction to try and put my half-brother on the throne too. That's another issue we have to deal with now. When possible as well, when our vassals only really don't like us due to not having an alliance and they're the right religion, I will get alliances going where possible. Right now, I just have my half-sister to marry off, so I will marry her off here. Hopefully when we get more daughters, we can make them a bit happier with those alliances as well. Okay, here we go. The Persian Asharis are now triggering. So, of course, if you want freedom, you will have it in death, and we'll try and deal with these first. I have also inherited Bamper down here. I'm going to inherit probably some strange counties across the place, but don't really mind this for now. We've had some land taken away from us due to succession, so whatever I can pick up and hold for the time being, I will. Let's raise my armies down here. This faction actually shouldn't be too bad to deal with, and it should also give us the ability to imprison at least one of the rulers that have joined as well. It is nice to see that because of the alliances with our vassals as well, they will help out against these factions, which will be key. Also, the ruler of Chola has just recently died, which is quite nice. It looks like his land has split into some different kingdoms, which is amazing. The ruler of Chola himself still has the conqueror trait. He is my brother-in-law, but to be honest, we are not going to be going for any more alliances with Chola here. The first one was mainly so that they wouldn't attack us, but the fact that they won't join in our wars is of no real use to us. But them breaking apart is fantastic news, as we do need some of their lands to actually restore our borders. Now then, this first faction is spread out quite a bit, but nowhere too strong. So we should be able to deal with them relatively easily, which is very important. I want to deal with this as quickly as possible. And there we go. With that siege, we actually get to 100%, which is fantastic. Let me enforce our demands here. We know that we're going to have to put down some rebels. There is no way around it. What is important, though, is to put down any type of rebels that come up as fast as possible, so they don't just all start triggering at once. It looks like next we're going to actually have to defend the empire itself. Now then, I am going to execute the actual leader of this rebellion, just to send a message. It has to be done. And then the one count that did join, I will revoke your lands for myself, and that is another Ashari vassal dealt with. Now, my scheme to murder our rival here is already at 93%, and we already have the maximum number of advantages, so surely this will be okay. Oh boy, okay, it was successful, but we were found out, so we're now a known murderer. That is not fantastic. I was a little bit afraid of that. It may not have been worth it for the 150 prestige, but listen, it had to be done. He had already started this scheme when we came to power, so theoretically he must have really hated that woman. It had to be done. Here it is. This is the faction I'm worried about. This is the faction to put my brother on the throne, or my half-brother, I should say. Of course, I will not be threatened. This time it's 4,000 troops, but this should make it quite a bit easier to reorganize the realm. Worryingly, a lot of these are actually the right religion. They just don't like us anyway, but it's fine. We can deal with them. Now, in terms of troop count, this should be absolutely fine. My goal is to try and deal with some of these groups, as always, before they get the chance to group up too much, and then we should be okay. Looks like they are going to group quite a bit over here, but the majority of my forces are here. Unfortunately, I'm not even quite sure what it is, but it is proving very difficult to catch these armies when they're moving away from me. Likely because they actually do have quite a bit of men-at-arms here. I do as well, but they are very heavy on the actual cavalry here. I think instead I'll probably bring this army over to unite with this one. We'll just keep our forces centralized and then deal with the actual rebels when they come. Yeah, men-at-arms is really causing us an issue here. This is not fantastic. It is mainly cavalry, and we do have some spearmen, but not a lot. I might actually see if I could get some mercenaries in here to help us. I'm actually going to hire an adventurer band. They're cheaper, so we won't actually go into debt. Probably won't get here very soon, though, but hopefully they can get to us eventually. It was a mistake for me to split up my army. I was overconfident in troop size, but I underestimated the actual quality that some of these rebels actually have. What is this? You want to duel me? For an artifact? No, that's fine. I'm going to decline. Let's not duel family against family. You can have the prestige. Let's go for an external alliance here to see if it will help us. House Rata here of the Rata Kingdom will do. We will call those men in. Our adventurer band that we hired is now arrived as well. So once we regroup here and head south, I imagine we'll be okay. Thankfully, we've just unlocked Popular Figurehead for the plus 50 popular opinion, which should help quite a bit, especially now that we're a known murderer. Also managed to call in our alliance with the Gujar Kingdom over here as well. So quite a few troops will be trickling in. Just annoying with our alliances here. Most of the viable candidates are quite far away. Oh, and the Liberty faction has chosen to pop up at this time as well. Now, these just want lower crown authority. How big are they, though? Okay, actually quite a few members inside of this. I think I might actually say I have no choice here. Happy to give them lower crown authority for the sake of not having to deal with another massive faction uprising. Still want to deal with this one first. Of course, it's very far from ideal, but realistically, I have to think about it from the perspective of I can always put my actual crown law back up. I cannot always get back in control of the Persian Empire. Now then, rather than repeating the mistakes of the past, I'm going to allow this army to get some sieges off here, just to try and buy some time for my allies to make their way over here. We have one army arriving by the coast over here that's going to link up with us, and the others are making their way across, which is fantastic. Yep, we can show you in. Thank you for the gold, my friend. Serve me well. Okay, now that my allies are all grouped up here, I'm going to move into attack. They should all hopefully jump in with me, and then with our new troop count and men-at-arms, we should be okay here. There is quite a bit of quality in these armies, though. Here we go. Future of the realm relies on this battle. Let's see. So the head of the Magi is coming to us, saying that he is unhappy because there is no dessert with noodles, syrup, and rose water that is every Persian's delight. Apparently, one of the ice houses have collapsed in an earthquake and we have to do something at once. I can say we do not need this excess, but we'll get court austerity for 25 years, which is not fantastic. I mean, courtier and guest opinion -10 and romance phase length, that doesn't actually bother us. I'm happy for that. The development growth is -25%, however, in Rican. Alternatively, for 125 gold, I can fix it and they won't have that development growth debuff and they'll gain 20 opinion of me. Or not they, but just the actual head of the Magi. Listen, I have the gold, that's fine. Let's build the ice houses back up. Okay, here we go. Let's see. They're trying to retreat, which is a positive sign. Surely we should be okay here. Managed to do a lot of damage to that first army before they even reinforced, which is very, very promising. Perfect. They're trickling in one by one. Exactly what we want to see. Should be absolutely fine here. Okay, perfect. That's the bulk of their army dealt with. Let's keep my army together. Counter siege some of this. Don't let them regroup and rearm. We've also just discovered crop rotation over here in our actual innovations. This gives us the ability to get the tribal era economic buildings, which I would be more excited about if we had even built out all of our holdings already, but we actually haven't. Let's go for mustering grounds next, because I really want to improve the size of my army, because at the moment I'm just about strong enough, but each of these factions is still proving a bit too much of a challenge for me than I would like. Really want to finish this faction war as soon as possible. We already have another dangerous faction with the man that I knew would be a problem. He has finally joined one, and this is to actually destroy the realm of his liege. This is one that I'm happy to fight off and deal with. I really want to arrest this man and get all this sorted out, but we need to deal with this war first. God, there's a lot of factions at the moment. Now, we've also just unlocked Divided Attention here, giving us even more domain limit that we need to make use of. We're only at 5 out of 9 here, but in other fantastic news, our first siege over here, we captured a valuable prisoner, and we can now finish this war. Now that that war is dealt with, I'm actually going to put my crown authority back up again to level 2. So I have the ability to revoke once again, and we can revoke all of this land from all of the rebels. Looking at some of these counties that we've just taken, some of the special duchy buildings available are incredible. The Great Tower of Silence. Look at the bonuses we get from this. What is nice, though, is that most of the counties that I've just taken there, I can hold directly, thanks to my huge amount of domain holdings for now. They're obviously highly scattered, but I'm happy to control those for now and not have vassals in control of them. So with that dealt with, a lot of the factions have cooled down a little bit. It also even seems like the one that the actual controller of Fars here was in control of has also just disbanded. So we're managing to actually claw back some of our power here. They are all much more in check and controllable now, but we do want to actually get ahead of these. A lot of what we're dealing with here is just the snowball effect of not dealing with it for so long during the struggle, but I want to try and deal with this as soon as possible. The religion we are still working on. All of the vassals have the correct directives and whatnot. I think our next focus should really be to take control of Fars here. Having an Ashari ruler that is this powerful is very far from ideal. So I think we may try and actually arrest him. Of course, this will trigger an uprising, but because we actually have the imprisonment reason, it shouldn't be as bad as just a tyrannical revokement. I will actually give this just a little bit more time though to get my troop count up to max. There's also a plague spreading down here that he will have to deal with, so we'll give this a chance to move back a bit. Of course, there is more people trying to claim my throne, as always. The good news as well, actually, is I was having a look at some of the different counties that we want to hold. I mentioned before that this is the actual de jure capital of the empire that has the Friday Mosque, as well as the ability for another special duchy building, like the Great Tower of Silence here. I was trying to figure out a way to actually get this land, considering they are the right culture and religion. Turns out, though, we don't actually have to worry, because the primary heir is us, and the current ruler is infirm and has lover's pox, so I don't actually think any children will come out of this. This should just come right back to us eventually. In terms of culture as well, most of the cultures that exist in here have very high acceptance, with the exception of this one down here. It's only actually at 3%. So I am going to start getting my steward to head down here, start converting this as well. Obviously, it's still stat trap Dogon here for political reasons, so it'll take him quite a while, but eventually we'll get this converted over. Excuse me? How did I miss this? Holy war for the Khanate of Khorasan, and I've seemingly just inherited this war? Apparently it started 3 years ago. I'm not sure how I wasn't involved previously, especially if it's for all of Khorasan here. Let's try and deal with this. It's also very strange because there's troops from the Arabian Empire over here that are involved in a war as well. Very strange. I'm not sure where this came from, to be honest. Let's just try and deal with their army specifically. They are already struggling quite a bit though. They are involved in so many wars at the moment. But if we can just deal with this in case it actually escalates, that'll be fine. Okay, thankfully we managed to capture somebody of interest in that battle, so we're immediately at 100%. That's instantly enforced our demands here. I don't want to be involved over here because there's too many armies I could end up fighting that are just not relevant to us. So it actually looks like the Arabian Empire is over here because they are allied with this ruler, so they're trying to help him out in all these defensive wars, but it's not going well for him. Which actually works, because we'd love to see him break apart, rather than having an alliance with the Arabian Empire that somewhat hems us in. Now, let me start to create some duchies over here as well. Let's make Herat, and we'll give it to you that we already have an alliance with. Now, the Kingdom of Makran here is very, very weak at the moment. Only 313 troops. I think I might actually take this time to pick up one of these duchies. Let's go for Sistan here. Let's try and actually keep everything centralized before we actually move against some of those more bordering states. Obviously, war is risky at the moment, the number of factions that we have, but I also can't just sit around waiting for those to fire forever either. Also, I believe if I actually conquer these counties, that should give us the ability to embellish the capital and plunder one of these. Now, it looks like Makran is also after being declared on by basically everybody else, so we need to try and deal with this war quickly. We have to fight some other armies here just to stop them from winning their war before we can win ours. Now, with our next stewardship perk, we can also now officially pick up Architect. This should make it a lot easier for us to actually start building up some of the holdings that we do have as well. The sooner we can actually get the original capital holding in Duchy, the better. That would be amazing to hold all of this and then really build this up. We can really start to focus in on this as the capital. Oh, incredible. We inherited a county up to the north and we're involved in a war for it immediately. Now, that is our war against Makran finished, so we managed to pick up some titles in there, which is fantastic. We are now involved in wars over here where we are still defending, because of course we are. Thankfully, the war we were defending against up north has been invalidated. We continue to actually inherit more land. Ooh, this is the duchy I was waiting on. Okay, incredible, incredible. Here, I think, is where we're going to move our capital. So the question then is, which duchy do we let go? Well, Herat here can probably go. We can grant this off to people who are loyal to us. And then you, my friend, can be elevated to take control of this. And then down here, I think I might also make the Duchy of Kerman here. We'll grant some of these lands away and hand it off. Duchy of Yazid, I will make and hand off as well. Okay, so now that we control the capital and the Shahdom of Isfahan here, this is going to be our main holding. So I'm going to hold on to everything here. If we can control the duchy entirely and get this back one day, that could also be a good idea. I'll probably also keep control of our original duchy over here, and then while granting some other ones away, we have been able to kill two birds with one stone, because we now have vassals that are much more loyal to us, much more in the position we want them to be in, and we have less counts beneath us, which should help a little bit with all those factions of the peasant revolts and whatnot. They should be able to deal with that themselves, and it's more people that we can give directives to. Let me move the rest of my army up here to deal with this as well. We also have the ability to actually usurp the kingdom of Makran as well as a Shahdom as well when we have enough gold and those men are not actually involved in wars. But to be honest, I really just want to deal with this war that we've inherited and then try and actually finally deal with the big worry over here in our brother-in-law. And of course, I'm after inheriting another war up the north here. Thankfully, we've picked up some extra troops though with all the land that we picked up, so we should have more than enough to actually deal with this revolt as well. So messy, so incredibly messy, but I am dealing with it piece by piece. Once we take care of Fars, things should be much more stable. There we go, we finally dealt with the other war that we inherited. All I wanted was one duchy and I got drawn into about 4 wars there, but finally we are at peace once again and our army is looking significantly stronger. We managed to pick up a nice increase to our number of levies there, mainly from actually inheriting so much land. So as you saw when we were playing, we were picking up land left, right, and center. We're now up to 9 out of 9 domain holdings. So we're getting the advantage of all the buildings that were built inside of those holdings as well. I may even save up some gold to try and get some Asawira in here, the archer cavalry that we unlocked through the actual dynasty legacies. These are incredible, expensive, but incredible. So I'm going to leave 1 slot free for them. Let me also officially move the realm capital over here to Isfahan, and we can start building and improving the actual buildings over here now instead. I can also now embellish the capital because we have recently conquered a county that we can plunder. I thought this was both. It's actually just at least one. Let's choose an architect. We will lead the project ourselves. So we can do a wondrous fire temple. This will give us zealot vassal opinion, some piety, and monumental splendor. I think each of them give monumental splendor. Yes, they do. So either way, we're going to be getting the plus 20% holding taxes and 30 popular opinion, which is incredible. Could go for a summer palace for the prestige and courtly vassal opinion, or beautify and expand the bazaar for development growth. I think I will go for the leisurely summer palace here. This will increase the opinion with courtly vassals that we have more of, and their prestige will be quite nice. So Ahmad has died. It's now his son, Emir Muhammad III, who still controls both of those duchies, which is not fantastic. Thankfully, I can do the same with him, though. Let me try and demand your conversion. I don't think he'll accept, and we should get that imprisonment reason once again. Amazingly, our capital is also not actually Zoroastrian yet. Let's immediately get the head of the Magi on that. Okay, so our heir Rostam here has just recently come of age. He is comely and a fortune builder. Is generous though, which will hit the income a little bit, but I have betrothed him off here in order for us to actually get an alliance with none other than the Padmashri kingdom here. 2.3 thousand troops, nothing spectacular, but should help when our heir comes to power, having that alliance already locked in and leave him in a stronger position than we were in when we took the throne. We do have another stewardship perk here. I think I might start going down the Avaricious tree here. Let's pick up Golden Obligations, gives us another taxable district, and also lets us actually demand payment for hooks here, which we should have quite a few of. Oh, we're immediately called into war. Okay, we'll accept. Probably not going to help you out too much though, but let's see. Yeah, you're already at plus 74%. You're going to be fine. Yes, we can demand payment for these hooks. I have been asking for hooks off of many people who were previously in prison, so many of those we'll probably actually try and use. Maybe not too much though. Probably not against people who are very important, but anybody who we've released from prison, gladly get some money out of them. Now then, the war we were called into is now over. The good news is it's actually broken Chola apart. I don't even think Chola exists anymore, so we can now pretty easily pick up these 2 remaining counties that were left that previously did belong to Chola, and that's going to be even more of the land we need for our borders. Amazingly, in dealing with Fars, despite the low percentage, he did actually accept becoming Zoroastrian, which is quite interesting. Now, it may make more sense just to actually try and get him on side here. Try and actually just make him like us quite a bit. I still don't like that he holds two duchies. That is not fantastic. Hopefully, though, that might split apart eventually. For the time being, though, let's pick up these lands here before somebody else does. It is quite nice in a way, though, that while we've been super preoccupied with internal realm politics, the nations around us have continued to splinter apart. So ironically, we probably saved ourselves. If I was to try and declare on Chola, it would have been this massive war trying to take pieces of their land and whatnot, but them actually just falling apart without much of our input has made it significantly easier for us to expand out over to the actual east here. I do think trying to restore our borders in the east first before moving against the Arabian Empire makes a ton of sense. We want to be as strong as we possibly can be before moving over in this direction. The only other problem I do currently foresee is, while not by much, the size of our army at the moment is putting us into a deficit when we actually raise them. So we really want to focus on building up our tax for the time being. We've been neglecting that for far too long. I think I will also spend some of my piety here to encourage the economy of House Bavandid. We do have some actual rulers inside of our dynasty here, so this will make them adopt the builder economical archetype and give them +1 stewardship. There we go, a bit more of the border gore is solved as we deal with the hole that was put inside of our realm by Chola there, but now everything is under control. The realm, at least, no longer has strange little holes in it and whatnot. Our borders overall are still quite strange, but we are getting there. I will probably use some of my gold as it comes in to create some duchies here. I don't want this many counts beneath me. The big issue with having this many duchies is just the fact that many of them are going to want an alliance, and I'm not going to have a family big enough to actually get everybody married off with me. Although we are getting there. We do have some daughters and whatnot now. In a bit more time, we should be good. I might even see if it's possible. Nobody on offer at the moment. If I can get more concubines to have even more children, that could be fantastic, because alliances are key in this government type. We've picked up some more land here, and we have also got a acceptance to one of our offers for vassalization over here, so we continue to expand. We did inherit a war, though. I'm not quite sure what this is for. It seems to be down over here. Oh, what happened over here? Looks like one of our allies either inherited or conquered some land all the way down over here. This is actually going past the borders that we want, but we'll certainly work to hold on to this. There we go. First battle, and we actually just immediately caught the man. So that is our defensive war that we inherited dealt with. So we actually get to hold on to these lands down here. Now, I think I am also going to host a feast in the capital here, mainly focused around recreation. I want to get our stress down a bit because I also want to change our culture to Persian. More on that in just a second, but at the moment it would give us a critical stress break, so I want to get this down a bit so I can make that decision without it giving us critical stress. Alright, a super successful feast. We've got our stress all the way down to 0, as well as increasing our vassals' opinion of us, which is quite nice. We did get pulled into some wars while we were actually at that feast. I don't think we'll necessarily be going all the way over here to help out, though. The other one is all the way up over here as well. This one I'm a little bit more afraid about. I feel like you might struggle without me, but let's see. If either of these actually start to lose quite a bit and we have a chance to help, maybe we'll head over. Oh, look at this. We've picked up some land over here as well. Our vassals are going crazy. Please go in this direction instead. All right, first things first, we have another dynasty legacy here. We've already finished Brilliance, so where do we want to go now? Honestly, I think we might want to shift our focus back to warfare that we have initially, just to make us even more effective in combat. We are going to need that, especially when we start going to war with the Arabian Empire, as well as the Byzantines as well. Now, so like I said, when that feast was finished, my goal was to actually convert over to the Persian culture. I think it makes sense given that our capital is here now, and we rule the Persian Empire. They have really nice traditions too, giving us the ability to recruit different types of men-at-arms. They make the martial education traits more valued, so we'll basically get better knights out of this, and then all Persian characters get more prowess. We can get more number of knights, accolade glory gain, irrigation experts gives us a ton of bonuses when we're building in certain terrain and whatnot. Enlightened Magnates gives us another tax decree, makes poets more common. Beacon of Learning will help with education and cultural fascination progress. Water rituals make diligent more common, which is very, very nice. And also, characters of this culture less likely to get infected by plagues. And then Garden Architects gives us the ability to get the Royal Gardens as well as the Court Gardener court position. So I do want to do this, but we can't convert over now because we are at war. Now, like I said, I'm probably not going to get involved in these wars over here, but since we're at war anyway, maybe we try and pick up some of these counties over here to help extend out our borders. I think that makes sense, and if we come across hostile armies from the other wars that we're involved in, we can deal with them as well. Now then, so I extended out northward here just by 2 counties or so, just trying to pick up some of the smaller pieces here. Gur is a duchy that we'll need to deal with as well, but we are getting nice and close. Oh, another plague. Amazing. Someone the position, please. That is, I believe, looks like it's over here. Probably not going to spread towards us just yet, so we should be okay. But we are getting nice and close to our original borders up here. Not that far to go now. I am going to go over here and help out in this war since it is nice and close. But to be honest, every time I finish one war, I'm called into another one. Okay, at long last, I think we're finally no longer at war. That was crazy. It was just war after war after war. But a lot of them is from my vassals continuing to expand out, which I will never blame them for. I am more than happy with that. They're even pushing deep into like the Arabian Empire here as it continues to kind of fracture a little bit, which is great to see. We have picked up a ton of gold in that time while I was focused on the war. Let's actually see if we can start by usurping some titles over here. That would probably be nice and useful for us. We can also usurp the Kingdom of Makran here, so we absolutely will do that. That should make what remains in Makran here break apart into just a county, which I think is the last piece we need for our official borders as well, at least down the bottom right here. But before I lose the ability to, again, let me at long last convert to local culture. Once again, ironically, after initially going to the feast to get our culture down, we then got dragged into a bunch of wars, and now we're back up at that stress level. That's going to get a critical break anyway, but that's fine. We can deal with that. We acknowledge who we are. We are now officially Persian. This has also given us the ability to sponsor Persian scholars here. At least 3 scholars with 10 or more learning will arrive as guests at the court within the coming months. Okay, send a herald. Why not? Why not? Let's also kindle the royal fire. We'll do another elaborate ceremony to try and impress everybody else who is Mastayasna. And we will develop the capital as well for even more development growth. Just like our father, to deal with the stress, we will pick up the Shahanshah fame trait. -2 stewardship is not fantastic, but we are totally fine on income right now. We managed to build quite a few upgrades in our capital holdings. Okay, so we are now 54 years of age, but things are looking a lot more stable. We are now Persian as well as Zoroastrian. We have our capital set up in the de jure capital of the empire. We are continuing to upgrade all of our buildings here, giving us even more tax and whatnot, which is fantastic, up to almost 40 a month here. There's still quite a few factions around, really quite a few factions around, but none of them too strong to actually challenge us yet, and we've managed to significantly build out the number of soldiers that we have as well. So we are a lot more stable. Now that we have enough gold as well, we'll probably be able to deal with the last remaining counts here, turn them into duchies, make sure everybody is the right religion. That continues to spread here, so some Ashari left down here, but now that we've actually converted the ruler of Fars, oh, it's changed again. I didn't even realize this. I didn't even notice that this guy died. It's now a 12-year-old in control. It is tyrannical, but I could attempt to try and just usurp the other duchy that he has to the north up here. That would make me quite a bit happier. It would deal with the initial problem of them controlling 2 duchies at once, and then he is still the right religion, so that shouldn't be an issue either. You know what? I am going to do this. Incredible, incredible. Okay, he accepted that. It is tyrannical, so he's not a fan of us, but that's okay. He is the right religion. We can deal with this over time. Can we actually sway him for the time being? Oh, no, I can't because he's still a child. Okay, yeah, fair enough, fair enough. But that has inadvertently solved our problem to the north over here, where this was all controlled by one man. So what I will do now is grant this actual duchy off to somebody who actually exists up here, and we've successfully split that land now between those 2 duchies. Is a bit tyrannical, but it had to be done. It solves our problem, and we've gone from a very strong single ruler holding 2 duchies of the wrong religion to 2 individual rulers of the right religion. But But before I get dragged into any more wars, I am going to leave this episode here. I do want to focus a lot more on the expansion and getting back to our original borders. It felt like a lot of this episode was dealing with wars inherited and otherwise and factions and whatnot, but I think we've gotten to a place now where we are in a significantly stronger position, and next episode should be a lot less dealing with the internal of the realm and a lot more expansion as we get back to our original borders and then press across for Darius's revenge. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to like and subscribe. A massive shout out to all of our channel members helping to support the channel and everything that I do here. And as always, a very special shout out to our Emperor's Hands tier, Faustbread, Batch Plays, and Wyatt Laird. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video.